You're in a good place now. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. On today's show, I'm wanting you to identify the people in your life that you're paying to be in your life, the people that you are paying money to be in your life. A good example is your lawyer, your accountant, your doctor, and the list goes on, and who you're paying to be in your life, who you're paying to help you in your life, and being able to identify these individuals. But going a step further, not just knowing who they are or remembering their name, but taking that to another level by actually identifying the people we're paying in our life and being able to be sure that this person has us in mind, that they have our best at heart, that they actually listen, that they take the time with us, that they actually put us first, or at least care about us, that they're actually open to ideas or considerations, that they're not judging, that they're not bullying us to a certain degree. And I found that a lot of people I know, including many clients I have, including family members I have, and including friends that I have hired people that have put them in certain places in their life that are important, and these same people don't listen to them. They might not give them that much attention. They might not give them attention as far as listening to them or listening to their concerns. They can be very much know-it-alls, like they know everything and you know nothing. Or they can be even bullies to some extent. Very self-centered, very narcissistic in nature. And I want us to really look and dive into this because I feel that many people have taken on folks in their lives that don't bring them joy, that don't have their heart, their best in mind. And honestly, a lot of times too, when you're dealing with these people, instead of feeling good about the interaction, you actually feel bad, or you feel stressed about communication, or you feel unheard. And these are some things that I want us to discuss today because I think this is very important. And I think that this is affecting many people because I think that some of us have chosen people in our life, whether it's a family lawyer or a family accountant or maybe a medical doctor or whatever, or a therapist that has these types of qualities. And it's hard to let them go because you feel bad. There's been so much time, perhaps. Maybe lots of things have gone on, and it's hard to let that go. And one of the biggest reasons why that's hard to let that go is, based on the way that we were raised. Based on the way we were raised and the types of people we dealt with, the types of people that raised us. How was our dad, right? How was our mom? Or how are they now? Or how were they when you're... It's more important to understand what they were like when you were a child and being raised in the formative years, not necessarily how they are now. And I know that a lot of people say, well, my mom was this, or my dad was that, or my dad was an alcoholic, but he's no longer, we get along now. Or, my dad was very cruel and mean or very self-centered, but he's changed because he's like 90 now. Okay, I'm not really talking about that so much now because you hope that people get better with age. You hope that people get more self-aware with age. You hope that people begin to get more aware and understanding of why they do what they do with age. And some people do, and some people don't. But we hope that they do. And so I want you to think about that, the connection between the relationship with your mom and dad and the environment that you were raised in, and the environment that you grew up in, and how that impacts you by the people that you choose to be around. Because I think we can sit there and look at, we have family members who are in our lives that we can't change because they're family. We have friends in our life that have been around for a long time or not so long, or a little bit of time or more time than not. But then so some of those people, obviously we can change friends if we want, maybe a little harder, but we could still do it. But what about the people we're paying? What about those people that are in those types of positions that we can actually let go of at any time, but we haven't? The people that we have issue with, the people that when we're in a meeting, they don't listen to us, the people that we kind of continue to feel unheard. Why do we continue to go back to it? Why do we continue to pay that? Why do we continue to accept that grief? Why do we continue the pattern? And I've had many clients come to me and say, well, we've worked for so long, overcoming that type of person that they get attracted to, that very know-it-all, bullying, kind of narcissistic person that, kind of knows everything. They're bigger than life. They don't really have time to listen to other people. They love you if you're making them look good, that sort of thing. But they've been conditioned. And so we've worked to uncondition them, right? Work to see it first, then understand why, and then work to uncondition, because we have to uncondition, this pattern, of thought and behavior and choices. And so we've worked on that, but a lot of times we worked on that, like, let's say, for example, with friends, like we no longer accept certain types of people in our life. Perhaps. Maybe we've worked on that with family dynamic, where we put up some boundaries that, maybe we still talk to, a sibling or a parent, but yet there's some boundaries around that communication. There's some boundaries around that. There's some things that we won't accept anymore that we used to accept, right? But I think one of the things that falls through the cracks is the people that we're paying, and I'm saying this, paying to be in our life. So, again, the accountant, the lawyer, the doctor, what have you, those people, and how a lot of times we choose this type of person that we're used to that might not be very healthy for us. It might not be very good for us. It might not be the right choice for us, but we choose it because we're used to it. You know what I'm saying? So we choose that person because we're used to that type of personality. We're used to the personality. We're used to that. A lot of people say, hey, I was raised, my father was an extreme narcissist or whatever. Mother was an extreme narcissist. But, she was the life of the party, or he was the center of attention. And, and if you didn't know him well, you thought he was great. He was the center of attention. He was always the life of the party. But at home, behind closed doors, he was a different type of person. Or behind closed doors, she was a different type of person. And what I'm saying here is that a lot of times we pick people in our life to do something for us, as being our doctor or a lawyer or what have you, and that person has that bigger than life personality, right? They have that center of attention personality. They have that going on, and we're used to that. But at the same time, just like mom and dad had that persona, that different personality behind closed doors, so does this person. And so eventually, that big personality and that, know-it-all kind of attitude and that real strong persona is great, but it has the issues behind it, right? I mean, it's one thing if somebody kind of has the knowledge. It's another thing to have somebody that also has knowledge but knows that they don't have all the knowledge. It's also great to have somebody that knows that they don't have all the knowledge and is interested in hearing your thoughts, is interested in hearing your perspective. All these things are great. But when you get the opposite of that, especially in the form of someone who is working for you, and that's one of the biggest things that I find that's interesting, that I find very interesting with people, is that a lot of people will take crap from people that they work that work for them. They'll take crap from people that work for them. And I'm just putting it out there so that we all understand what we're talking about here. And what I'm saying is there's no reason to, right? Like, why would you need to? This person, you're paying this person's on your payroll, whether it's your insurance covering it, whatever it is. They're on your payroll, and you're paying, right? You're paying them for headaches. You're paying them for headaches. That's what you're doing. It's like you're hitting your head against the wall. You're paying them for headaches. And many of you will still have the same issue with them day after day, week after week, year after year. And you're paying them. I have clients constantly saying, I can't believe I'm dealing again with, this person or this accountant or this doctor's not listening to me or that. And it's like, okay, first off, why are we going to a doctor that's not listening to you? Second of all, why are we working with a lawyer that doesn't have time for you? Why are we working with an accountant that doesn't listen to you or doesn't respond to your emails in a proper timing or doesn't have time to get back with you, but completely billing you way too much and not spending time with you? Why do we continue to have this type of person in our life when we can easily find someone else? I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. I'd have to Google, how many CPAs there are in the world. How many CPAs there are in the state? How many CPAs there are in the United States? I would have to Google how many doctors are there. Even in your area, no matter where you live, there's a lot of doctors. Maybe you have to go to a bigger town, what have you. But, there's a lot of doctors. There's a lot of lawyers. This isn't like, the one in a million where you just got to go with what you got and that's your only option. That is so far from reality now. There's plenty of choices to begin to pick someone that you're not paying for headaches. And I want us to really think about that because some of the strongest people out there, because I know a lot of strong and a lot of talented and a lot of smart people listen to this show. And you listen to the show because you're smart, talented, and you're a good person. You listen to the show because it talks to you, it speaks to you. But even then, there's still somebody in your life that you're paying right now that needs to be let go of. And I don't want to hear about, but there's so much water under the bridge or, okay, no, I get it. Time is time. And that's why it can be hard to let go of friends that you've known for a long time that are like this too. Because it's hard. We've known each other for years, man. I mean, we've known each other for 15 years. Okay, well, 15 years is 15 years, sure, but it's 15 crap years. I mean, let's start making life better instead of making life worse. So let's begin to identify some of these folks, and let's begin to identify some of their behavior that upsets you. Because their behavior is the issue. I mean, it's not them. They're just them acting out on their behavior, but we can't, you're not going to change. I mean, an adult's going to change their behavior based on a choice. And an adult's not going to change their behavior just because you tell them to. Okay, this is people have to change their behavior because they want to, not because they feel like they have to or because you said that they have to. It's just not the way it works. So if their behavior needs changing, move on. If their behavior needs changing, move on. And that's the issue. If the behavior needs changing. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, why do we want to try to change them? Why do we want to try to change them? Why change them? And that's kind of this. That's the deal. It was interesting the other day. I was on a call with a company that I have spent quite a bit of money with, and it was an interesting call. And I'll tell you about it here in a second because it's something I normally don't do. But it's something I did. And it'll give you kind of an idea of kind of the new direction that I've been moving in my life. And maybe a direction that maybe you need to move in your life because it will help you. And it will take out some of the riffraff. And it'll give you more of a peace of mind. And also, you'll waste less time. Because what we're ultimately doing is wasting time. We are wasting time with these people. We are wasting our life. And so that is what we're going to change today. So stay tuned. Don't change the channel. I'll be right back. Live your true life perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in. We'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
Turn it up and jump in the deep end on perspectives. Now, here's Ashley.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. On today's show, I'm asking you to examine the people that you're paying to take care of you in your life, the people that you're paying to be in your life. And those are the people that do work for you, whether it's a lawyer, your physician, your doctor, your therapist, your accountant, and the list goes on. Who you are paying to be in your life. And this is very important to identify because the people that you're paying to be in your life need to not give you headaches. They need to make your life easier, not harder. They don't need to be putting you last and giving everybody else attention. They don't need to give you little attention as far as not listening to you. They need to be able to pay attention to you. They can't. They're not supposed to bully you, tell you what you have to think, or tell you what you have to do. These same people are not know-it-alls. They don't know everything. They don't try to push this down your throat all the time. These same people are working for you. They're working for you. And a lot of times we lose sight of that. We lose sight of that because they are working for us. They're doing a service for us that we are paying them to do. And when you think about who has power in your life, you think about your family, your friends, okay? But even more power are the people you pay, right? Because usually you're paying them to do a big service as far as doing your taxes, investing your money, taking care of your health. These are the big things that we pay money for, right? Listening to us, our therapist, our coach. And these are the people that we need to open our eyes to be sure that they're there for us. And a lot of times we choose these people not even realizing why we choose them. We choose them because of that pattern that we've been dealing with our whole life, the way we were raised, how mom or dad was. You know, we choose people with those certain personalities that might be bigger than life. You know, they're the life of the party, but yet they're bullies or they're know-it-alls or they make us feel small or unheard. And I've had so many clients tell me that, my accountant is horrible. Like, they never email me back. They're constantly billing me for not doing things. I can't ever get in contact. If I try to get in contact, they cut me off short. I'm not able to ask questions. When I ask questions, I'm kind of made to feel stupid. Won't listen to them. Don't like to, give them, don't want to listen to what they have to say. About their health. So there's it's endless. And it's interesting because we're putting these people in power. We're giving them power over us to some degree. And you're just hoping that they'll actually do the right thing. And that's just not responsible. We have to find people that will listen. We have to find people that will take consideration of other thoughts. We have to find people that can actually be kind of on the same level. And it doesn't have to be, everybody doesn't have to be the same as you, obviously. But to a degree, we need to find people that share some of our same values. We need to find people that share that value of listening. We want to find those people that share that value of not being a know-it-all, of the people that actually, hey, I do know some things, but I'll be the first one to say that maybe I don't know that, or I'll be the first one to say that I could always use extra knowledge. All those things are very important to get to the core of a situation, to understand a situation with clarity. And I think a lot of times we choose this and we look toward behavior. And when I get back from break, I'm going to give you this example because it's a small example, but it kind of gets to the core of what we're doing. It gets to the core of how do we begin to stop wasting our time. And that's something that we want to do. The biggest thing is identifying these people with power, understanding. But then we realize if we're hitting our head against the wall, if we're paying for headaches, how do we stop doing that? And how do we change that pattern in our life? And how do we let go of these people and begin to find people that actually can help us? And we feel good about it. We feel good about the connection. We feel good about the communication. And we feel good about the camaraderie. So stay tuned. When I return, I'll be talking more about that and giving you some tips and tricks on that and how to overcome this and how to move on. Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in. I'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
This is Jake Busey, and you're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. On today's show, I'm talking about the people we're paying to be in our life, the people that we're paying money to do something for us, whether it's a lawyer, a doctor, a CPA, an accountant, a financial advisor, the list goes on. And these are the people that we need to identify first, who we've chosen. And second of all, is there any behavior patterns that they exude, that they give, that are not conducive to our happiness, our joy? They're not conducive to what's best for us. And I find it interesting because a lot of us are paying people to work for us that don't have our best of intent at heart. They don't listen. They don't take us into consideration. They might even bully us. They might even be know-it-alls. And this is the people that we need to let go of in our life to begin to seek a higher level of people that are working with us. So let's deep dive, because I had a funny situation that happened the other day, and I thought I would have to share this with you because it kind of puts in perspective where I am now, you kind of on the journey of this. I'm very introspective of the people that I have around me. I'm very aware of the people that work with me, and I'm very aware of the people I'm paying. And the last thing that I'm going to pay for now is a bunch of headaches. And, I used to sit there and, and get angry about it and him and haw about, somebody that wasn't listening to me and they don't take my word of consideration, or, they cut me off a lot, or they're not listening to what I have to say, or I seem to be the last one that gets any sort of response. And those things are really, really challenging. But then I realized, why am I dealing with this behavior? I started realizing that I didn't have to deal with this behavior. I started realizing that, quite honestly, there was no reason to deal with this behavior because I was paying for it. And the fact is that I'm paying for it. And the fact is, if I'm going to pay for it, I should pay for what I want. And by me just paying for it, I'm basically saying, yes, I want this. This works for me, even though, no, this doesn't work for me. And these are the things that we have to be aware of. These are the focus points that we have to understand. This is it. This is it from A to B. This is it. This is what we have to understand. This is what we have to get to really understand and consider our life. And it's awesome when we finally realize, wait a second, I can change this. I don't have to accept this, because the next thing that happens is when you start realizing that this isn't working for you, the next step that you do is you start trying to get them to change their behavior. You start trying to get them to change their behavior. But a lot of times you're trying to do that by trying to be a different person. You start changing yourself to get this person to accept you. So, but again, why? This isn't like we're going to get money at the end of this. This isn't a talent contest. This isn't, okay, become the chameleon and then you're going to get the $1 million prize. No, this is you're not being you. And on top of that, you're feeling like you can't be you and you're paying this person. Again, we have to really look at our sense of reality here. But the biggest thing is, why do we feel like we want to change their behavior? Why don't we just want to move on? I understand, many of you might be in marriages where you're trying to get your spouse, because they're your spouse that you have kids with, and you would like them to change their behavior. And you would like them to change their behavior so that you can have a happier family dynamic. And that's what I work on. I totally understand that. That's what a lot of clients come to me for, and working to change their behavior so that they don't keep getting, triggered by this person. And that's one thing. I can understand, like, getting that person or trying to get that person to see their behavior, trying to get them to understand their behavior. That's something that's really super big. But when it comes to your lawyer, why do you need to get them to change their behavior? Just change your lawyer. So the other day I was on the phone with a company. It was GoDaddy. And it was interesting because I had the person that was working on my website with me and some stuff like that was on the call with us. And I called to get one thing changed, and I went through the AI beginning, and then you put in your comments, and then eventually they give you a live person to talk to, and the person was not understanding what we were asking. So we were asking something very, very, very clear, just one thing, and just needed one thing to be changed, but they kept giving us the wrong advice. And I said, that's not going to work, because that doesn't work with this. And I tried to explain it. And then they kept arguing with me. And usually, like back in the day, 10 years ago, I would have been like, no, and I would have explained it. I hung up. I'm getting nowhere. And if I even try to say, hey, put me with somebody else, they're going to argue. And I even said that. I said, hey, if you can put me with somebody with hosting instead of domains, that would be helpful, because this question is directed toward that. And the person said, I know everything. I can talk to you about anything. Just, you're just not listening to me. And I hung up because they were wrong. And the know-it-all behavior and the wrong information put together really pisses me off, especially when you work for me. Okay, I don't like the know-it-all behavior, and I don't like the wrong information. I mean, those things together piss me off. And they piss me off for a reason, because it's like, you work for me. It's not the other way around. You work for me. And so that is the thing that I want us to think about, is like, in the past, I would have said, hey, no, that's not really right. Or, hey, this is what it's saying. And trying to explain to this person, and then going around, 10, 15 minutes of wasting my life. And all I did is I called back and I found somebody that knew what they were talking about. It was a very quick, simple thing. Took 5 minutes. I got a phone. So what I'm saying is, this is a real lesson for many of you right now, is to start thinking about this. How often you're letting this behavior go through and be in your life. How often are you dealing with this behavior? How often are you not only dealing with this behavior, but placating this behavior? Think about it. It's like, how often do we get angry because the person doesn't return our calls? How often do we get angry because the deadline's not met, and now we're having to pay a penalty because of them not meeting a deadline? How often do we deal with it? How often do we deal with the smug, know-it-all attitude and hit our head against the wall because they're not listening to our needs or wants or things that we need or things that are important to us? How often do we get to that point? And I think that many of you are getting there more often than not. And instead of realizing what the solution is, we get lulled into accepting the reality we're in. We get lulled into this, well, I've been with so-and-so for 15 years, and for 15 years they've done my taxes, and I'm just going to suck it up and deal with them during tax season. But it's like, but why? Why do you want to suck it up during tax season? Why don't you just find another person that understands you better, that can communicate with you, that actually has some respect for other human beings? I mean, it's really not that hard. I mean, there's a thing called Google. There's a search engine. There is there's a thing called the internet. There's a thing called LinkedIn. There's all kinds of things that can connect us with people in the industries that we need that aren't going to make us want to vomit. And that's what I'm talking about, because I know a lot of you are bending over backwards for these people that should be doing the opposite, because you are paying them. And I think a lot of times we lose sight of this. And we lose sight of this because we're used to that personality. We're used to that bigger-than-life personality with that person that's telling us what to do. We lose that bigger-than-life personality with somebody that's telling us what to do. And we fall into that category. We fall into that situation. We fall into that problematic situation. We fall into believing this is the only chance, this is the only person we have. Or we just get so used to hitting our head against the wall that we're just used to it after a while. And we feel like that's just part of it. Like, I'm just going to have to go through this because this is part of the game. And I had a situation that happened years ago, and I had hired somebody in an architectural type position. And it was hell. It was hell dealing with them. And then there was kind of like this disconnect and an inability to actually hear what I wanted. It was almost like they listened, but they didn't listen. They didn't talk, but they didn't take any of my consideration. I finally was like, screw it. I mean, this money right here is best well spent to move on. Move on, because it's not going to work. It's going to be an uphill battle the whole time. And you know what? These uphill battles end up costing a lot of money, and the uphill battles end up being very painful, because if it's already starting off that way, it's not going to get any better. Okay, if you found a therapist or a life coach that's already judging you about your life, or already acting strange, or already misdiagnosing or miscategorizing, that's a big red flag to move on. Okay, like, if this is already happening in the beginning, that's a problem. You think about it. If you started dating somebody and on day 5 there's like 100 million red flags, do you keep going? Some of you do. I get it. We've all done it before. I mean, the red flags are flying and we're just letting it happen. But most of the time we go, I don't know about this. I think I'm gonna put the brakes on a bit. And that's the same thing here. So analyzing these people and realizing too that we pick a lot of these types of personalities based on the way we were raised. If we were raised by a father who was very much of a know-it-all, center of attention, would bully you or tell you what you were going to know or tell you how you were going to live, that's probably kind of more in the direction of the people that you talk to, or more in the direction of the people that you get advice from, because you believe that advice. You accept that advice because you accept that type of personality in your life. You accept that type of person in your life. And that's something when it's not something that's acceptable behavior by somebody else because it's not their second nature or the thing that they're dealt with, it's very hard to understand. I mean, I have been in meetings with people that I am like, this person is a jackass. Okay, like they are beyond bad. Why would you spend time with this person? Why would you pay them money to talk to you like this? And, I know that some of us feel like we should be punished, because of our own self-esteem issues and our own fear and the stuff that we've grown up around. But we have to eventually start understanding what will bring us joy. What is our best for us? How do we let go of some of the stress? How do we begin to feel heard? Because life is hard enough, and most people don't listen. So why would you want to pay someone that doesn't listen to you? I mean, if anything, the people you pay should be listening to you. If anything, the people you pay should be the ones that listen to you the most. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's why you pay a good coach. That's why you pay a good therapist. That's why people pay me, is because I'm a very good listener, but I'm also a very big, ability to see solution. I can help people. I can help them get to that next level. And I'm listening to every nuance to make that a reality, every single nuance. Whereas, our family members, our friends aren't. One, they're not taught on how to do that. Two, it doesn't come second nature. They're not intuitive. They don't get that. And three, it's not their job to do that. They might hear it, goes in one ear, out the other, and they're starting to give you advice on something that they do not need to be giving any advice on, but they're still doing it. And, sometimes that advice is bad advice. And sometimes that advice is horrible advice. And sometimes the advice we pay for can be bad advice. And the way that we feel when we walk out of those meetings could be a bad feeling. And all these things kind of culminate in our life. And these are the things that we need to be aware of. These are the people that we're paying, how they make us feel. And then if we have fear around letting them go, do we have fear around letting them go? Do we have fear of moving on? Why do we have fear? Why do we get scared about not working with them? Why do we get scared on how they might feel about us? Why? How do we get scared about that? Why are we scared about that? Why are we worried about that? These are huge questions to ask, because some people are so scared to move on. Oh, God, what are they going to say, if I want to move on? Or, I found a new OBGYN and I'm worried how my other doctor's going to take it when I have to get the file or whatever. It's like, what does it matter? You're paying them. Most people are not going to worry if the shoe was on the other foot, how you'd feel. I know that person that I called to get help, that was the total know-it-all, that was giving me bad advice, and giving me bad information and acting like they knew everything. When I hung up, they might have got a little pissed, but they didn't care. All in all, they did not care. And so, kind of moving past that is the fact that it's like, okay, that in and of itself is kind of problematic. And so knowing that and understanding that and moving on with that and getting all that is very important. And being able to see those people and move past that and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to research people. I'm going to research people that can help me. I'm going to research people, and then I'm going to educate myself, and I'm going to interview these people. Just because it is a doctor doesn't mean that you're not going to interview these people. If it's a lawyer, is this the lawyer you want to use? Is this the financial advisor you want to use? Is this the CPA you want to use? Is this the psychologist you want to use? Is this the lawn service person you want to use? All these things are very, 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 very important, and things that we need to think about and things that we need to take into consideration. So these are the things we want to think about. These are the things we want to put in perspective. These are the things that we want to understand, and this is the direction we want to go to eliminate some of the headaches and stress in our life. These are the things we want to eliminate, and we want to change that, augment that, and stop hitting our head against the wall and stop paying for headaches. So stay tuned. If you haven't already, please check out my YouTube channel. Go to Ashley Burgess on YouTube, search up Ashley Burgess, or search up Life Coach Ashley Burgess, and you can find new video content almost every day of the week. We have over 1,000 videos up there and 1-minute videos up there as well, and long-form videos. So stay tuned. The podcast is not over with. Live Your True Life Perspectives with me, your host, Ashley Burgess, will be back in. I'll be back this time. Actually, I'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
Get in here. You're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. On today's show, I've been helping to help us identify who we're paying in our life. Who are the people that we're paying in our life to do services for us, that their behavior is actually a problem, that actually working with them is actually creating headaches in our life, and we're actually paying for headaches from them. You know, because a lot of times with these people that we're paying, they might be putting us last, not listening to us, not focusing on what we're saying. They could be bullies, know-it-alls, and they're the people in power in our lives. And why do we allow them to be in power? Why do we continue to allow this behavior in our life? And why do we think that we can change their behavior? Why do we think that this is part of our reality? It's not. And why do we want to waste the time trying to do it? And that is a big, big, big question. And this is something I want us to think about. And I want us to begin to start looking into other people that might can help us do the things that we need to do. That instead of beating our head against the wall, instead of getting bad information, or instead of somebody being a know-it-all and giving us wrong information, or just making us feel kind of bad about ourselves, what about if we begin to analyze what actually will work for us? How do we get somebody that actually cares about what we're doing? And how do we find someone that makes us feel heard? And basically, all this boils down to is how do we find people to work with that don't waste our time? How do we find people that work with that don't waste our time, that actually bring back, that give back, that do things for us? How do we find that in our life? And that's something I want you to really think about today. I want you to think about this. If you have to listen to this podcast multiple times, maybe you're cooking or doing laundry or working out or just sitting and listening to this, I want you to really analyze that. Think about each one of these people you're paying. You know, whether you have a personal trainer perhaps or a hairstylist even. And, you know, if the hairstylist is constantly not listening to what you want and you keep walking out of there and your hair's too short or it's the wrong color, why, God, why? Why do that anymore? Find someone that'll listen to you so that you're not constantly going, oh my God, what happened to my hair? I mean, think about it. Like, why, if you're going to a trainer where you're constantly getting hurt, find another trainer. If you're going to a trainer that's constantly, dropping the ball, and this is something that you need to do that's proactive for you, find someone else that's going to be consistent. There are other people. It just takes time to find them. And sometimes it takes time. And sometimes it's annoying, and sometimes we have to do our due diligence, and sometimes we have to look and say, okay, I'm seeing it. But over time, we begin to find those people, and we find the people that matter in our lives. We find people that matter in our lives. We find people that, are helping us in our lives. We find people that are actually giving and helping and they're actually in the role of a supportive role. And that's the part, is that supportive role. And so you need to begin to interview those people. If it's a lawyer, if you're going through a divorce and you need to find a lawyer, get the right one. The last thing you want to do is to fight your spouse, your soon-to-be ex-spouse, and your lawyer all the time, because that's a lot. And I know a lot of people that before they started working with me, they contacted me when and I said, no, you just got this lawyer and you're already having these problems and you just started 2 days in. No, let's get a list of other people. And let's begin to interview these people so we find the right one for you. And that's what we need to find. That's what we want to do, and that is what we're going to do. It's about finding our power. It's about finding our power and, not allowing other people to bully us and not allowing people to tell us what we're going to do. Instead, finding people that can work with us and help us and help our life to be the best life it can be. I hope this show has connected with you and helped you, and I hope that you can share this with a family member or a friend. that might be dealing with this. And you might have a friend right now that's like, oh my God, my doctor won't listen to me, or I really need this, and they're not paying attention. And you've said it over and over again. And maybe this podcast can say it better. Maybe you have a relative that needs to hear this information. Maybe you're getting tired of being the one that they come to and bitching about the situation. You'd like them to just solve it. This might be the podcast to send to that family member, friend, relative. Just send them the link. Send them the link and say, hey, this is something I think you need to listen to, because I think that this is something that actually connects to you and could really help you, because you could actually find somebody better and somebody that really helps you with your needs. And again, if you haven't already, check out the YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, go to Ashley Burgess or Life Coach Ashley Burgess, and check out the website as well. So check out the website. Go to ashleyburgess.com, ashleyberges.com. And if you'd like to set up a coaching session with me, just go to Coaching Sessions, click on that, and you can set it up right there. If you'd like to chat or send me a message, go to the same website, ashleyburgess.com. Click on that contact page and send me a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. In the meantime, who are we paying to be around us? Who are we paying to help us? Are they the right people? Stop trying to change behavior and find someone that works. Live your true life perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in. I'll be back this time. You know it. I'll be back this time in 3 shakes.